Jake Murphy wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked across the hot Nevada desert. The sun was beating down hard, and his water bottle was almost empty. He had been walking for 2 hours now, checking the ground for signs of copper and other metals. This was his job. He worked for a mining company that wanted to know what was buried under the sand. Jake stopped and looked at his handheld scanner. The numbers on the screen were jumping around like crazy. Something big was buried here, something made of metal. He had never seen readings like this before. The scanner was beeping so fast it sounded like a fire alarm. He put the scanner away and pulled out his shovel. The company had sent him out here alone because they thought this would be a quick job. Just check the area and come back with a report. But now Jake was thinking this might take longer than expected. After digging for 30 minutes, his shovel hit something hard. The sound was strange, not like hitting a rock or buried trash. It sounded like metal, but different somehow, cleaner. Jake got down on his knees and started brushing sand away with his hands. What he found made him sit back in shock. Under the sand was a smooth, dark surface that looked like no metal he had ever seen. It was almost black but had tiny lights running through it like veins. The lights were not glowing now, but Jake could see the patterns they made under the surface. He kept digging, following the edge of the buried object. After an hour of work, he realized he had found something huge. The object stretched out in both directions as far as he could dig. It was shaped like a giant teardrop, pointed at one end and wider at the other. The whole thing was about 60 feet long and maybe 20 feet wide. Jake stood up and looked at what he had uncovered. This was not natural. This was not made by humans either. The surface was too smooth, too perfect. There were no bolts or welds or any signs of how it was put together. It looked like it had been grown rather than built. Strange symbols were carved into the surface near what looked like it might be a door. The symbols were unlike any writing Jake had ever seen. They were flowing and curved, almost like they were moving even though they were carved into the metal. Jake pulled out his phone to take pictures, but the screen showed no signal. That was strange. He had signal when he started walking this morning. He tried calling his boss but got nothing. The phone showed no bars at all. He walked around the buried object, taking pictures anyway. Maybe the photos would work when he got back to town. As he walked, he noticed that one end of the object was damaged. The metal was torn and twisted like it had hit the ground very hard. This thing had crashed here, but crashed from where? Jake looked up at the clear blue sky. There had been no reports of any aircraft going down in this area, and this thing did not look like any airplane or helicopter he knew about. It was too strange, too advanced. Jake found what looked like a door on the side of the object. It was outlined in the metal but had no handle or way to open it. He pressed his hands against it, but nothing happened. He tried pushing different parts of the door, but it would not move. Feeling a bit silly, Jake knocked on the door like he was visiting someone's house. The sound was muffled and strange, like the metal was very thick. He waited, but nothing happened. Then Jake did something that would change his life forever. He cleared his throat and called out in a loud voice, "Hello? Is anyone in there? Are you okay?" The moment the words left his mouth, everything changed. The dark veins under the metal surface suddenly came alive with soft blue light. The light spread across the entire object like water flowing through pipes. A low humming sound started, growing louder and higher in pitch. Jake jumped back as the door he had been touching began to move. It slid upward with no sound except for a soft hiss of air. Dim light spilled out from inside the object, and Jake could smell something like clean metal and electricity. He stood there for a long moment, his heart beating fast. Every smart part of his brain was telling him to run, to get back to his truck and drive away as fast as possible. But the curious part of his brain, the part that had made him good at his job, wanted to know what was inside. Jake pulled a flashlight from his belt and turned it on. He took a step closer to the open door and shined the light inside. What he saw made his mouth fall open. The inside of the object was clearly a vehicle of some kind, but like no vehicle he had ever seen. The walls were smooth and curved, covered with panels that were now glowing softly. There were no sharp corners anywhere. Everything flowed together. like it had been carved from a single piece of material. In the center of the space was something that looked like a chair, but it was shaped wrong for a human. It was taller and narrower, like it was made for someone with a different body shape. Around the chair were panels covered with symbols like the ones on the outside. Jake called out again, "Hello? Anyone here?" His voice echoed strangely inside the object. As soon as he spoke, more lights came on. Panels that had been dark started glowing, and new sounds joined the humming. It was like the whole thing was waking up. That was when Jake realized something that made his skin crawl with fear and excitement. This thing was responding to his voice. Every time he spoke, it became more active. The lights got brighter, and more systems seemed to turn on. Jake had found a spaceship. An alien spaceship that had crashed in the Nevada desert. And somehow, his voice was turning it on. He took a step back from the door, his mind racing. Who could he call? Who would believe him? And more importantly, what was he supposed to do? Now, this was way beyond anything his mining company had prepared him for. The humming from inside the ship was getting louder, and Jake could see more lights coming on deeper inside. Whatever he had started by speaking, it was not stopping. The ship was coming back to life, and Jake was the only person around for miles. He thought about running back to his truck and driving away. He could pretend he never found anything. He could write a report saying there was nothing here but sand and rocks. But even as he thought about it, Jake knew he could not do that. This was the most important discovery in human history. He could not just walk away. Jake took a deep breath and stepped through the door into the alien ship. The moment his feet touched the floor inside, new lights came on all around him. The ship was welcoming him, responding to his presence like it had been waiting for him. What Jake did not know was that 3 months ago, the ship's pilot had sent out a distress signal before crashing. That signal had been detected by others who were now looking for the ship, and they were not friendly, but for now, Jake was alone with the greatest discovery in human history, and he had no idea how much danger he was in. Jake moved slowly through the alien ship, his flashlight beam dancing across the strange walls. Every step he took made the floor glow softly under his feet. The ship was definitely responding to him being there, but he still did not understand. Why? The main room was bigger than it looked from outside. The ceiling curved up high above his head, and there were doorways leading to other parts of the ship. Jake could see more lights turning on in those other rooms too. The whole ship was coming alive. He walked up to the tall chair in the center of the room. Up close, he could see it was not just a chair. It was surrounded by panels covered with buttons and screens. Some of the screens were showing symbols that moved and changed. Others showed what looked like star maps or maybe technical drawings. Jake reached out to touch one of the panels, but before his finger could make contact, he heard a sound that made his blood freeze. It was a groan, low and weak, coming from somewhere deeper in the ship. Someone was alive in here. Jake called out, "Hello, where are you? I'm here to help." His voice echoed through the ship, and as always, speaking made more systems activate. Lights got brighter, and he heard new sounds starting up. The groan came again, stronger this time, from a doorway to his left. Jake hurried toward the sound, his heart pounding. What if the person inside was hurt? What if they were dangerous? What if they were not human at all? The doorway led to a smaller room that looked like it might be for sleeping or resting. Along one wall was something like a bed, but it was enclosed in a clear bubble. Inside the bubble, Jake could see a figure. Lying still. As Jake got closer, his flashlight revealed the truth. The figure was definitely not human. It was tall and thin, with skin that had a blue tint to it. The face was similar to a human face, but with larger eyes and a more pointed chin. Long dark hair spread out around the head like a fan. The figure was wearing clothes made from material that looked like metal fabric. There were injuries visible on the arms and face, cuts that had healed but left silver scars. The chest was moving up and down slowly. This person was alive but unconscious. Jake stared at the alien for a long moment. This was really happening. He had found a crashed alien spaceship with a living alien inside. His mind tried to process what this meant, but it was too big to understand all at once. The alien's eyes opened suddenly, and Jake jumped back. The eyes were larger than human. Eyes and completely black, with no white parts visible. For a few seconds, the alien just stared at Jake like it was trying to figure out if he was real doll, and the alien tried to sit up quickly and immediately fell back down with a pained gasp. It said something in a language Jake had never heard before. The words sounded musical, like singing, but he could not understand any of it. Jake held up his hands to show he was not dangerous. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you. My name is Jake. I found your ship in the desert." The moment Jake spoke, the alien's eyes went wide with shock. It stared at him like he had just performed magic. The alien said something else, in its musical language, and this time it sounded excited. The clear bubble around the bed started to dissolve like melting ice. In a few seconds it was completely gone, and the alien was sitting up slowly on the edge of the bed. It was even taller than Jake had thought, probably close to 7 feet if it stood up. The alien pointed at Jake and said something that sounded like a question. When Jake just stared back in confusion, the alien touched something on its wrist. A small device there beeped, and suddenly the alien spoke again. "You the awakening awakening Sounds," the alien said. The words came out slowly and strangely, like the device was translating them. "How do ship? Here?" Jake blinked in surprise. "You can understand me now?" Translation. "Device," the alien said, speaking a bit more smoothly as the device learned. "Your voice it makes the ship wake up." "This should not be possible." "I don't understand," Jake said. "I just talked to it. I called out to see if anyone was inside." The alien tried to stand up but swayed and had to sit back down. Jake moved closer, ready to help if the alien fell. Up close, he could see that the injuries were worse than he had thought. There were bandages made from the same metal fabric covering cuts on the alien's arms and legs. "My name is Zara," the alien said. "I am what you would call a pilot. This is my ship. I'm Jake," he said. "Are you hurt bad? Do you need help?" Zara looked at him with those big black eyes. "You do not know what you are, do you? What do you mean?" "Your voice," Zara said, speaking more clearly now as the translator got better. "It has the harmonic frequency that awakens Viridian technology. We have legends about your kind. We call you the Singers." Jake felt confused and a little scared. "Singers? I'm not a singer. I work for a mining company. I was just doing my job when I found your ship." Zara stood up carefully this time, using the wall for support. She was indeed very tall, and Jake had to look up to meet her eyes. "How long have I been unconscious?" she asked. "I don't know," Jake said. "How long have you been here?" "The ship crashed 3 months ago," Zara said. "I was badly injured and had to go into healing sleep. The ship's systems shut down to save power. I thought I would die here. 3 months." Jake thought about what that meant. This alien had been lying unconscious in the desert for 3 months, and no one had found her. She could have died, and no one on Earth would have ever known aliens existed. "Why did you crash?" Jake asked. Zara's expression became dark and worried. "I was running from the hegemony. They are, how do you say, conquerors? They destroy worlds and take what they want. My people, the Viridians, have been fighting them for many years. And they chased you all the way to Earth?" "No," Zara said. "I was heading for the outer edge of your solar system. My ship was damaged in the last battle, and I could not make it that far. I had to land here for repairs." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Are they still looking for you?" Zara nodded slowly. "Yes, and if they find me, they will find your world too. When they discover that humans are the Singers from the old legends, they will destroy your entire planet." "What?" Jake's voice cracked. "Why would they do that?" "Because Singer voices can awaken the most powerful Viridian technology," Zara explained. "Technology that could defeat the hegemony. They have spent centuries making sure no Singer race survived anywhere in the galaxy. If they learn about humanity, Earth will become their next target." Jake felt the weight of what she was saying crash. Down on him. By waking up this ship by helping Zara, he might have doomed his entire planet. How long do we have? I do not know, Zara said. My ship has been sending out a distress signal since the crash. If hegemony scouts detect it. She did not finish the sentence. Jake ran his hands through his hair, trying to think. Okay. What do we do? How do we stop them? Zara looked at him with something that might have been hope. There might be a way, but I will need your help. And we will need to find others like you. Others like me? Other singers, Zara said. Not all humans will have the ability, but some will. We need to find them quickly. Jake heard a new sound from outside the ship. It was faint but getting louder. A car engine. Someone was driving across the desert toward them. Zara heard it too. Is that one of your people? Jake nodded, his mind racing. Probably my boss. He'll be wondering why I haven't checked in. We must be careful, Zara said. If word gets out about me too quickly, it could cause panic. Or worse, it could help the hegemony find us. The engine sound was getting closer. Jake had to make a decision that could change everything. Did he trust this alien? Did he believe her story about galactic conquerors? And what was he going to? Tell his boss? Looking at Zara's worried face, Jake realized he did believe her. Something about her felt honest and desperate. She was scared, and if she was right about the danger, then he should be scared too. Hide in the ship, Jake said. Let me handle this. Zara nodded and moved back toward the sleeping room. Jake, she called before disappearing. Thank you for waking me up. You may have just saved both our worlds. Jake walked back toward the entrance of the ship, his mind spinning with questions. Everything had changed in the space of a few hours. He was no longer just a geologist looking for metals in the desert. He was apparently something called a singer, and the fate of Earth might depend on what he did next. The car engine was very close now. Jake took a deep breath and stepped out of the alien ship to face whatever was coming. Jake walked quickly away from the alien ship as the car engine got louder. Behind him, he could hear the ship's systems powering down as he moved farther away. The lights were dimming, and the humming was getting quieter. It seemed like the ship needed him nearby to stay fully active. A white pickup truck came over a small hill, kicking up dust as it drove. Jake recognized it right away. It belonged to Lisa Grant, who worked for the satellite monitoring company. She sometimes checked equipment in this area. Jake had met her a few times in town and knew she was smart and reliable. The truck stopped about 50 feet away from Jake, and Lisa got out. She was wearing work clothes and had her long brown hair tied back in a ponytail. She looked confused as she walked toward him. Jake, she called out. What are you doing way out here? And what's that thing behind you? Jake turned to look at the ship. From this distance, with most of the lights off, it just looked like a strange metal object. Sticking out of the sand? Maybe he could convince Lisa it was just a piece of old mining equipment or something. Hey Lisa, Jake said, trying to sound normal. I'm doing a survey for the company. That's just some old junk I found buried in the sand. Lisa pulled a device from her truck and pointed it at the ship. The device beeped and clicked, and her eyes went wide as she looked at the screen. Jake, this thing is putting out massive energy readings. What kind of junk puts out energy like this? Jake's heart sank. Lisa was a satellite technician. She would know the difference between normal metal and something that was generating power. He could not lie to her about this. Lisa, he said carefully, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but I need you to trust me. She looked at him with concern. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost? Not a ghost, Jake said. An alien. Lisa stared at him for a long moment. Then she laughed. Very funny, Jake. What's really going on here? Jake walked back toward the ship, and Lisa followed. As they got closer, the lights started coming on again. The humming sound returned, and the ship began to wake up. Lisa stopped walking and stared at the ship in shock. It's responding to you, she said quietly. Your presence is activating it, not my presence, Jake said, my voice. Watch this. He spoke louder. Hello, ship, we're back. The ship immediately became more active. More lights came on and new Sounds started up. The door that Jake had used before slid open, spilling light out onto the sand. Lisa dropped her device. Oh my God, Jake, what is this thing? A spaceship, Jake said. It crashed here 3 months ago. There's someone inside, an alien named Zara. She's been unconscious this whole time, but I woke her up. This is impossible, Lisa said, but she was walking closer to the ship anyway. Aliens don't exist. This has to be some kind of secret government thing. Lisa, I need you to listen to me, Jake said. The aliens are real and we're in danger. The alien inside Zara, she told me about. Something called the hegemony. They're like space conquerors and they're looking for people like me, people like you, people who can activate their technology with their voices. They call us singers. And when the hegemony finds out about humans, they're going to try to destroy Earth. Lisa looked at him like he had lost his mind. Jake, are you feeling okay? Maybe you've been in the sun too long. Before Jake could answer, Zara appeared in the doorway of the ship. She moved slowly, still recovering from her injuries, but she was clearly not human. Lisa took one look at her and stumbled backward. Do not be afraid, Zara said, her translator making her words sound strange but understandable. I am not here to harm you. Lisa pointed at Zara with a shaking hand. You single quotes redot? You're really an alien? Yes, Zara said simply. And you are another singer. What? Lisa looked confused. I'm not a singer. I can't even carry a tune. Not that kind of singing, Jake explained. Zara, how do you know Lisa is a singer? Zara stepped carefully out of the ship and walked toward them. I can sense it. Some humans have the correct harmonic frequency in their voices. It is rare, but it exists. You both have it. Prove it, Lisa said, still sounding scared. But also curious, Zara pointed at the ship. Speak to it, tell it to do something, use a commanding tone. Lisa looked at Jake, who nodded encouragingly. She cleared her throat and spoke toward the ship. Ship, turn on more lights. Immediately, the entire ship blazed with light. Panels that had been dark lit up, and the humming sound became much louder. Lisa stepped back in amazement. I did that, she said quietly. I actually did that. Yes, Zara said. You are definitely a singer. This is very good. We will need as many singers as we can find. Why? Lisa asked. What's going on? Jake quickly explained everything Zara had told him about the hegemony and the danger to Earth. As he talked, Lisa's expression changed from disbelief to worry to fear. So you're saying that these hegemony aliens are going to come here and destroy our planet? Because we can turn on their ships? Lisa asked. Not their ships, Zara corrected. Viridian ships. My people built this technology long ago, but we lost the ability to use it fully when our own singers died out. The hegemony has been hunting down singer races for centuries to prevent anyone from using Viridian technology against them. How long do we have? Lisa asked. I do not know, Zara said. But we should assume they are already looking for my ship. The distress signal has been broadcasting for 3 months. Lisa pulled out her phone and started dialing. I'm calling. My brother Danny, he's a pilot. If we're going to face some kind of alien invasion, we need people who know how to fight. Wait, Jake said. Are you sure we should tell more people? What if word gets out? Jake, you just told me that aliens are going to destroy Earth, Lisa said. I think we're past worrying about keeping secrets. She finished dialing and put the phone to her ear. Danny? It's Lisa. I need you to come out to the desert right now. Bring your gear. No, I can't explain over the phone. Just trust me, okay? This is important. After she hung up, Zara looked worried. Your brother, is he military? Former Air Force, Lisa said. He's a good pilot and he knows how to handle dangerous situations. If anyone can help us figure out what to do, it's Danny. Zara nodded slowly. Good, we will need people with military training, but first we need to see what this ship can do now that it has singers to activate it. What do you mean? Jake asked. My ship is just a scout vessel, Zara explained. But even a scout ship should have weapons and defenses that can be unlocked with singer voices. If we are going to fight the hegemony, we need to learn how to use them. Lisa was already walking toward the ship. Then let's go learn. If these hegemony guys are coming for us, I want to be ready. Jake followed her, but he stopped at the entrance to the ship. Zara, how many singers do you think exist on Earth? Unknown, Zara said. In other races, it was usually less than 1% of the population. But the harmonic frequency seems to be stronger in humans than in any other race I have encountered. You might have more singers than we expect. That's good, right? Lisa asked. Yes and no, Zara said. More singers means more power to fight the hegemony. But it also means the hegemony will be more desperate to destroy your world. They cannot allow a planet full of singers to exist. They entered the ship together, and immediately more systems came online. With 2 singers present, the ship was more active than Jake had ever seen it. Panels were lighting up everywhere, and new sounds were coming from all directions. Amazing, Zara said. The ship is operating at nearly full capacity. With just 2 singers, you are providing more power than I thought possible. Lisa was staring at all the active panels. What does all this stuff do? Let me show you, Zara said. She walked over to one of the main control panels and gestured for Lisa to join her. Place your hand here and speak to the ship. Ask it to show you the weapon systems. Lisa put her hand on the panel and said, Ship, show me the weapons. The main screen in front of them lit up with diagrams and symbols. Jake could not read the alien writing, but he could see pictures of what looked like energy weapons and defensive shields. Incredible, Zara said. This ship has capabilities I never knew existed. Your singer abilities are unlocking systems that have been dormant for centuries. A new sound came from outside the ship. It was another car engine, but this one was louder and more powerful, Lisa smiled. That's Danny, he drives a motorcycle. As the engine sound got closer, Zara looked nervous. Are you certain we can trust him? With my life? Lisa said. Danny's a good guy, he'll help us. Jake hoped she was right. They were about to bring another person into their secret, and every new person meant more risk that word would get out. But Zara was right about one thing. If they were going to fight the hegemony, they needed all the help they could get. The motorcycle engine stopped outside the ship, and they heard footsteps approaching. Jake took a deep breath. In the last few hours, his life had changed completely. He had gone from being a simple geologist to being part of humanity's first contact with aliens. And now he was about to become part of Earth's defense against a galactic enemy. Danny, Lisa called out, come on in. There's someone I want you to meet. Jake watched as another human was about to learn that they were not alone in the universe. He wondered how many more people they would need to convince before this was over. Danny Grant walked into the alien ship and stopped dead in his tracks. He was a tall man with short military-style hair and muscles that showed he stayed in good shape. His mouth fell open as he looked around at all the glowing panels and strange technology. Lisa, he said slowly, what in the hell is this place? It's an alien spaceship, Lisa said simply. Danny, meet Zara. She's from another planet. Danny looked at Zara for a long moment. The alien was standing by one of the control panels watching him carefully. Danny had seen a lot of strange things during his time in the Air Force, but nothing like this. Okay, Danny said finally. I'll bite. You're really an alien? Yes, Zara said through her translator. And your world is in great danger. Jake quickly explained everything they had learned about the hegemony and the singer abilities. As he talked, Danny's expression became more serious. When Jake finished, Danny was quiet for a long time. So let me get this straight, Danny said. Evil aliens are coming to destroy Earth because some humans can turn on alien technology with their voices? That's about right, Jake said. Danny walked over to one of the control panels. And you think I might be one of these singers? There's only one way to find out, Lisa said. Try talking to the ship. Danny cleared his throat and spoke in his command voice, the one he had used when giving orders to other pilots. Ship, respond to my voice. Immediately, new panels lit up all around the room. The humming sound got even louder, and Jake could feel the ship vibrating under his feet. With 3 singers present, the ship was more active than ever. Well, I'll be damned, Danny said. I really am one of these singer people. Zara looked amazed. 3 singers in one place. I have never seen anything like this. The ship is operating at maximum capacity now. What does that mean exactly? Danny asked. Zara moved to the main control station. It means we can access systems that have been locked away for centuries. Watch. She placed her hands on a panel and spoke to the ship in her own language. The main screen changed to show a view of the desert around them, but it was not a normal view. Jake could see heat signatures, electromagnetic fields, and other things that human eyes could not detect. The ship was scanning everything for miles around. This is the ship's full sensor system, Zara explained. Now we can detect any hegemony. Ships that might be approaching Earth. That's good, Danny said. But what about weapons? If these hegemony guys are as tough as you say, we're going to need some serious firepower. Zara looked uncomfortable. That is a problem. This is only a scout ship. It has some weapons, but not enough to fight a hegemony invasion force. So what do we do? Lisa asked. We need to find more ships, Zara said, and more singers to operate. Then Jake felt confused. More ships? I thought this was the only one. Zara shook her head. This ship crashed here, but it was not alone. There should be an underground facility somewhere in this area. My people built hidden bases throughout the galaxy, places where ships and equipment could be stored safely. How do we find it? Danny asked. The ship's sensors should be able to locate it now that we have 3 singers, Zara said. She spoke to the ship again, and the main screen changed to show a map of the local area. A red dot was blinking about. 5 miles to the north. There, Zara said. That is where the facility should be. Danny was already moving toward the door. Then let's go check it out. How long do you think we have before the bad guys show up? Unknown, Zara said, but we should assume very little time. They left the ship and climbed into Lisa's truck and Danny's motorcycle. Danny led the way, following the directions from the ship's sensors. The underground facility was located under a small rocky hill that looked completely natural from the outside. When they got close, Jake noticed that the rocks seemed to be humming softly. Do you hear that? He asked Lisa. Yeah, she said. It sounds like the ship. Danny was walking around the hill, looking for an entrance. There's got to be a way in somewhere. Jake had an idea. He walked up to the hill and spoke to it like he had spoken to the ship. Hello, we're here to help. Please open. Part of the hill slid away like a door, revealing a tunnel that led down into the ground. Lights came on along the tunnel walls, showing the way forward. I'm starting to get used to that, Danny said. Lead the way, Jake. They walked down the tunnel for about 10 minutes. The walls were made of the same strange metal as the ship, and everything was covered with the same kind of glowing patterns. At the end of the tunnel, they found a huge underground room. What they saw there made all 3 humans stop and stare in amazement. The room was filled with spaceships. Not just 1 or 2, but dozens of them. Some were small like Zara's Scout ship, but others were huge, bigger than any airplane Jake had ever seen. Holy crap, Danny said quietly. How many ships are there? Zara was walking between the ships, touching them gently. As she moved, lights began coming on throughout the facility. 47 ships, she said, including 12 warships that could fight a small hegemony fleet. But they all need singers to operate them, right? Lisa asked. Yes, Zara said. We need to find more people like you. Many more. Jake pulled out his phone and was surprised to see he had signal again. I know some people we can test. My boss at the mining company, some friends in town. But how do we know who we can trust? We have to take risks, Danny said. Lisa, who do you know that we can count on? Lisa thought for a moment. There's Maria Santos. She teaches languages at the community college. She's smart and she keeps secrets well. And there's Ben Clark. He used to be in the Navy, worked on submarines. Good, Danny said. We need people with military training and people who are smart enough to understand what's happening. Zara was examining one of the larger ships. There is something else you should know. These ships are not just weapons. They contain technology that could help your entire civilization. Medical equipment that can cure diseases, power systems that could give you unlimited clean energy, computers that could solve your most difficult problems. Jake felt overwhelmed. So if we survive this, humanity could advance by hundreds of years in just a few months? Thousands of years, Zara corrected. Viridian technology is very advanced. But first, we must survive the hegemony attack. Danny was walking around one of the warships. How long does it take to learn to fly one of these things? For someone with pilot training and singer abilities, not long, Zara said. The ships will help teach you. They want to be flown. Suddenly, all the lights in the facility flashed red, and a loud alarm started sounding. Zara ran to a control panel and spoke to it urgently. The main screen showed space above Earth, and there were new objects appearing at the edge of the solar system. They're here, Zara said, her voice full of fear. 3 hegemony scout ships have just entered your solar system. How long until they get here? Danny asked. Zara was working at the controls, calculating. 72 hours at most. Maybe less if they detect the Singer energy signatures. Jake felt his knees go weak. 3 days. They had 3 days to find more Singers, learn to fly alien warships, and somehow prepare to fight an enemy that had conquered worlds across the galaxy. Okay, Danny said, taking charge. Here's what we do. Lisa, you and Jake start contacting people we can trust. Bring them here and test them. If they're Singers, we start training them immediately. Zara, you teach me how to fly the biggest warship. You've got... What about the government? Lisa asked. Shouldn't we tell the military? Danny shook his head. Not yet. If word gets out too early, it could cause panic. And if the government tries to take over, they might mess everything up. We need to be ready to fight before we tell anyone else. Zara was already powering up one of the warships. Danny is right. The hegemony will detect large-scale military movements. Our only advantage is that they think this world has no defenses. Jake looked around at all the alien ships. 3 days ago, he had been a simple geologist looking for copper in the desert. Now he was part of humanity's secret defense force, preparing to fight aliens in spaceships that responded to human voices. All right, Jake said, let's get to work. We've got a planet to save. As they split up to begin their preparations, none of them noticed the small device that had been silently recording everything from a crack in the cave wall. The hegemony advanced scouts had been busy while the humans were discovering their new abilities. The enemy knew about the Singers now, and they were coming much faster than anyone expected. High above Earth, the 3 hegemony scout ships changed course, heading directly for the planet. Their weapons were charging, and their communications arrays were sending urgent messages back to the main invasion fleet. The war for Earth was about to begin, and humanity had less time than they thought. 24 hours later, the underground facility was buzzing with activity. Jake and Lisa had worked through the night, calling friends and testing people for Singer abilities. They had found 6 more Singers, including Maria Santos and Ben Clark. Not everyone they tested had the ability, but 9 Singers was more than Zara had hoped for. Danny had spent the entire time learning to fly the largest warship in the facility. The ship was called a battle cruiser, and it was 3 times bigger than Zara's scout ship. With Danny's voice commanding it, the ship could fire energy weapons powerful enough to destroy smaller vessels and shields strong enough to protect against heavy attacks. The hegemony ships will be here in less than 12 hours, Zara announced to the group gathered around the main control station. They are moving faster than I expected. Maria Santos, the language teacher, looked nervous but determined. How many ships are coming? The advance force has 50 ships, Zara said. That is more than we can fight with what we have here. Ben Clark, the former Navy man, was studying the tactical display. What about calling for help? Do your people have ships that could get here in time? Zara shook her head sadly. The nearest Viridian fleet is months away. We are on our own. Jake felt his stomach twist with fear, but he tried to stay calm. Then we make our stand here. 9 Singers, 12 warships will have to be enough. Danny walked over from the battle cruiser he had been practicing with. I've got an idea. These ships respond to our voices, right? And the more emotion we put into our commands, the stronger they get? Yes, Zara said. Strong emotions make the harmonic frequency more powerful. Then we need to get angry, Danny said. These hegemony bastards are coming to destroy our world, kill our families, wipe out our entire species. If that doesn't make us mad enough to fight, nothing will. Lisa was working at one of the control stations, trying to contact the other singers who were scattered among different ships. Danny's right. I've never been this angry in my life. These aliens think they can just show up and destroy Earth? They're about to learn what happens when you mess with humans. Over the next few hours, the singers spread out among the warships and continued their crash course in alien technology. Jake found himself assigned to a ship called a destroyer, smaller than Danny's battle cruiser, but faster and more maneuverable. When he spoke to it, the ship responded like it had been waiting its whole existence just for him. Ship, Jake said, sitting in the pilot's chair, show me how to fight. The ship's systems came alive around him. The main screen showed tactical information about weapons, shields, and flight controls. But more than that, Jake could feel the ship's eagerness to fly and fight. It was like the ship had its own personality, and it was excited to finally have a singer to command it. Ben Clark was learning to pilot a heavy fighter, a ship designed for close combat. Maria Santos was in charge of a support vessel that could repair other ships and boost their shields. Each singer was finding that their ship seemed to match their personality somehow. 6 hours before the hegemony arrival, alarms started sounding throughout the facility. Zara ran to the main communication station and her face went pale as she read the display. What is it? Jake asked. The hegemony scout ships have sent a message to the main fleet, Zara said. They know about the singers. The invasion force is coming now, not in 6 hours. Danny was already running toward his battle cruiser. How long do we have? 1 hour, Zara said. Maybe less. The facility erupted into controlled chaos as the singers rushed to their ships. Jake climbed into his destroyer and immediately felt the ship's systems responding to his presence. The ship was ready to fight. All singers, report to me, Danny's voice came over the communication system. We're going up to face them now. One by one, the warships lifted off from the underground facility and flew up through a hidden opening in the desert floor. Jake had never flown anything before in his life, but the destroyer seemed to know what he wanted it to do. It was like the ship was reading his mind and translating his thoughts into action. They climbed quickly through Earth's atmosphere and into space. Jake had never seen Earth from space before, and for a moment he was stunned by how beautiful and fragile his home planet looked. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents, this was what they were fighting for. Contact, Ben's voice came over the radio. 50 hegemony ships approaching from the outer system. Jake looked at his tactical display and felt his heart sink. The enemy ships were huge, much bigger than the Viridian warships, and there were so many of them. How could 9 human singers possibly win against 50 alien warships? Remember, Danny's voice came over the radio, these ships get stronger when we get emotional. Think about your families, your friends, everyone on Earth who's counting on. US, get mad and stay mad. Jake thought about his parents in California, his sister in college, all the people he had grown up with. The hegemony wanted to kill all of them, wipe out humanity like they were nothing more than insects. The anger that rose in Jake was like nothing he had ever felt before. His destroyer responded immediately. The ship's weapons charged faster, the shields got stronger, and the engines produced more power. Jake could feel the ship becoming more deadly as his anger grew. Here they come, Lisa's voice said over the radio. The hegemony ships opened fire first, sending streams of red energy toward the human fleet. But something amazing happened. As the 9 singers fought back with all their rage and determination, their ships performed far beyond what should have been possible. Jake's destroyer moved like a dancer, dodging enemy fire and striking back with precision that surprised even him. The ship seemed to know where the enemy would be before they got there. When Jake screamed commands at his weapons, they fired with devastating accuracy. Danny's battlecruiser was in the center of the fight, taking on 3 enemy ships at once. His voice roared over the radio as he commanded his ship. "You want to destroy my planet? Come and try." The battlecruiser's main guns fired continuously, tearing through enemy shields and hulls. Danny was fighting like a man possessed, and his ship was responding with power that made the enemy vessels look weak. In comparison, Maria's support vessel stayed back from the main fight, but her voice was just as important. Every time one of the human ships took damage, she would sing commands to her ship, and healing energy would flow out to repair the damage and strengthen their shields. The battle raged for 2 hours. The hegemony had expected to face primitive humans with no defenses. Instead, they found themselves fighting singers whose emotional connection to their ships made them far more dangerous than any enemy they had faced before. One by one, hegemony ships were destroyed. The aliens tried to retreat, but the human singers pursued them with relentless fury. By the time the fighting was over, 47 enemy ships had been destroyed. Only 3 hegemony vessels escaped to carry word back to their fleet. "We did it," Lisa's voice came over the radio, filled with amazement. "We actually won." But Jake knew this was just the beginning. "Zara, what happens now? Will more of them come?" "Yes," Zara said, "but it will take time for them to gather a larger fleet. And word will spread throughout the galaxy that the singers have returned. Other races that have been hiding from the hegemony will join us." Danny's voice was tired but determined. "Then we better get ready. If they want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget." As the human fleet returned to Earth, Jake looked down at his planet again. It looked same as before, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had allies now, and enemies too. But they had also discovered something amazing about themselves. They were singers, and their voices could awaken wonders beyond imagination. The war against the hegemony was just beginning, but humanity was ready. They had found their place among the stars, and they would fight to keep it back on Earth, in labs and universities around the world. Scientists were already studying the Viridian technology that the singers had brought back. Medical advances that could cure any disease. Clean energy systems that could power entire cities. Computers that could solve problems humanity had struggled with for decades, but most importantly, Earth now had a fleet of starships and a group of human singers who knew how to use them. The next time the hegemony came, they would find that Earth was no longer a helpless target. Jake landed his destroyer back in the underground facility and sat quietly for a moment. 3 days ago, he had been looking for copper in the desert. Now he was a starship pilot who had helped save his world. He smiled and spoke to his ship one more time. "Thank you. Partner, ready for the next fight?" The ship hummed in response, its lights glowing warmly. Together they would face whatever came next.